This is the oldest picture that I have. Unfortunately, it's the only picture that I have of the blocky stages. Let's see. Man, I had 3,000 miles, but look who I was with. 22 Pilots himself. This is the toll by Kensington. At this point, I think I was grinding for the 1-to-1, which was 2 million at the time, and also the most expensive car at the time. Guess I was farming bounty a bit. Again, pretty early stages, 24k. I think at this point I was nearing, either I owned all cars at this point or I was very close to owning all cars. Oh wait, so I guess ranks were introduced when I had around 63k maybe, or like 62, yeah, somewhere around there. That's when ranks were first introduced. They were below here. And yeah, still you can see on the leaderboard you don't see anybody's stars, it's only in the chat. Look at that, player points. I think in this picture they didn't count for, oh wait, no. Did they? No, they didn't count for anything. So player points stopped working about when I had 60k miles. I believe that's when player point leaderboards were removed, and so player points became useless. But basically what these player points were is you'd get 1 every mile, and then like on the actual game page there was a, you know, like where you can see all the servers, there was a tab where you could look at the player leaderboard or the player point leaderboard. And so essentially it was like the top miles leaderboard for the week. Like you could sort it by week or by month, and then there'd be things called clans. Let me see if I can find a screenshot of something. Okay, so this is what the player point leaderboard looked like. And so you'd have, like, you could join a group, and then they'd put you in a clan, and then the player points that you got in the week would go to the clan's overall points. And so like the biggest one was UD Muppet Squad. If you remember that, then you were definitely from this time, because I'm sure everyone from that time knew the name of that group. This was initially what got me into the grinding phase, just because, you know, I was with a group of people, and like seeing your name up on the board is like pretty big motivation, especially when you're part of a group. Then it's like you're grinding for the group essentially. So that's what started it. And Ain't No Jeff, who is now Floriferous, me and him were competing. I think I was pretty close to overtaking him later in the week, because his 11k dropped down and then I got up into the 10k range, so we were like within 1k from each other. That was my goal. Like that summer, that was my goal, was to take first place, but they removed player point leaderboards before I could take it, so that was a very tragic moment. No way, I totally forgot that I have this screenshot, but look who's right below me. I think at one point he was the fastest grinder, or like he was gaining the most miles. And if it's not miles, it was definitely citizen ranks, because he started climbing like crazy. That was like when the 700 or like the 600 700 rank range, like he just blasted through that, and he was the first one to rank 700. So the fact that like I was 70k miles ahead of him, but he like quickly passed me, it's cool to see at this point. The reason why I have the screenshot is because it's when they first added, this is literally the moment they added this weekly drivers board to Westover. Yeah, I don't know how else to say it. It was literally the moment the game updated. I got back on, started driving, and So yeah, at one point I was number one at the very beginning when they first released the boards. Also, you can see what a different all-time leaderboard that is. I was a decent distance away. Like, at this point, I didn't think I guess I was kind of close, but at the same time, like 100k miles already took so long. At that point I was like, how in the world, how am I gonna get to 250k, you know, to be top 5? So never really thought about that. Falcon Punch was a very quick, he climbed the boards really quick. I think later he becomes number one. We'll see later in the pictures, but he like went from nowhere all the way up. He was like one of those come and go grinders. He got up pretty quickly, but then he didn't stay. So like his total time, like over the span of UD, was barely anything. But he definitely set a crazy pace for the time back then. Of course, you have Max Power, Ain't No Jeff, my not so rival, but still reminds me of that player point leaderboard. And then Tabaz, who I think he was also the first person to hit rank 500, and that was when the Devo, when Devo was used to grind ranks instead of the LVN more recently. This is when I first got the Police Senna rank 100. This was such a long time ago. I think it was in 2019, I want to say. So I got Police Senna pretty early on. I mean, not like for my UD career, but compared to when I actually started grinding COP, like I think I grinded for this in about a week, and then I just stopped playing COP for 2 years, if I did my math right. 2 or 3 years, I'll just say that. 2 or 3 years I didn't touch COP ranks whatsoever, and then just recently I started grinding them again. Okay, yeah, here it is. So Falcon Punch did get to number one. Like I said, he just flew up the leaderboard, and then I think not too soon after this he stopped grinding it, which was pretty sad to see. About like 6 of us actually contributed to this, but there was a time where you could spawn basically an infinite number of cars, and so like what you would do is, there was none of that how it is now where you can only spawn 2. Like technically back then you could only spawn 2, but there was no menu for it. So all you would have to do, you'd spawn a car and then just jump up and down in your seat, and eventually it would, like, the countdown would just disappear after one of the times of jumping. So we managed to just like fill up a parking lot with cars. It was super laggy. This is the first video I ever took. Oh my goodness, look at the quality. I don't know if that's my computer or if that's like actually what it recorded it at. How many miles? Okay, so at around 5k miles, I afforded the one. Alright, here's a video of the old dealership, bro. This is what it should look like. Back then, they weren't trying to push all these like premium items at you. You literally just go to the dealership to spawn a car and not see like an advertisement for literally 30k for 6 cars. So that was Old Terrain Mountain, and you didn't have that tunnel up here. This was the old dealership, so when you bought all cars, this would show up. I don't know what shows up now because I have the 2 VIP cars that are still in the shop, so I think those are like preventing whatever you would get if you owned all cars. Oh yeah, this happened back in the day where you used to actually be able to get stuck on the ceiling of the tunnel. I don't think that really happens anymore. Somehow I just happened to get stuck upside down, and so I could actually drive on the roof. Okay, now this was a menu. This is what a menu should look like. These are the days of Victory Road. Oh yeah, this was a track that they had whenever they were testing new chassis. So all the videos before this were using old chassis. Oh, I'm just going to include this event real quick. This was probably one of the most memorable events I took part in. I believe this was the weekend that they first added the Mount Astley, so we all like in UD Car Collectors, which is now a retired group. It was owned by Father Ewok, who retired, so big sad. But this was an event we did, and there were so many people here. It was so much fun. Let's see, I'm trying to find the part where like there was so much chaos. Oh yeah, right here. I don't think I got too much of it, but just the amount of people that were trying to go down the mountain at this point was so funny. Oh man, I wish I was like more in the middle of it, but I kind of got out ahead. Oh man, the good old days when car collisions could not be turned off. I kind of miss them, not gonna lie. Like, it is nice being able to turn off collisions when you're grinding, but then you don't have moments like that where you're just in a big pile and cars are flinging everywhere. Oh, the sync was too good. Just had to flex the fact that I beat 22 pilots in a Victory Road race one time. But yeah, so I think at this point all the pictures are done as well. Everything that you've seen in the videos is essentially shown in the other pictures that I have. So I think the last thing that I want to look at are old leaderboards, just to remember the old people who used to play the game.